Hey everyone, it's Nicole here. I hope you are all well and welcome to the Tillage Village. It's been a busy few days. We have been planting a lot of the fall vegetables because this is something that we just do every year. Um, what I'm about to do now is plant some carrots. We are having a little rainstorm. It's slightly drizzling now, but rain or shine, still got to plant some vegetables. And I'd really try and encourage you to get your vegetables planted quite, get everything prepared, because we're coming into the fall, into the winter season. And those of you who have bad weather, um, try and get everything prepared, organized, dot your I's, cross your T's, etc., as they say. Um, because all it takes really is a bad winter storm. We could have an early winter. A cold front could come through, and that really affects a lot of the crops that farmers are growing. And so I'd encourage you to try and get everything in place as we're coming into these colder months. Here it's still pretty warm, so that's a good thing. But try and do a little bit every day, and you'll be surprised how much you can get accomplished. So I'm going to get the seeds, get these planted, and take you along so you can see. Now I think these carrots here, I think they're Danby. I've had them a while, so but they do really well. Now if you are, you go to the store on a regular basis, you'll obviously notice that the price of everything is dramatically increasing. We're making some tables for a shade house, and the price of the lattice, I think it went up, I don't know, $10. So it went up, look at the birds, went up quite a bit. So you really have to notice, or if you take a notepad when you go to the store, and so you can notice the price increases every time you go. Because coming into the winter season, I'm just sprinkling these carrots. As you come into the winter season, you'll notice, I don't know whether there'll be even more scarcity of some of the foods. Yes, some things there's been a huge influx of certain items, and others that there isn't that many. So potatoes, tomatoes, there's a shortage of those, but we have a lot of sweet potatoes growing. And one thing that I did this year, I planted sweet potatoes in 3 different locations. Like I staggered, like succession, I staggered the times in between when I planted them, so that I could get, when I harvest the first one, it'll be several, I don't know, maybe a month and a half, maybe 2 months before I harvest the next one. And I did that on purpose because sometimes you have to think ahead of what you think's going to what there's going to be a shortage of. Yes, tomatoes, potatoes, so could there be milk? Think about these things. Think about the things that you use daily, because years and years ago, during the times like the Great Depression, a lot of the food that we have was made from scratch. Now we're coming into the winter season. It will be good to if you know how to make soups, start preparing soups. Get your soup mixes prepared so that you can have all that ready. And basic bread mixes, things like those, that would be good to try and get recipes for those as well. Have a variety of recipes, have a variety of soups. If you want to make your own soups from scratch, grow things like celery. I'm growing, I've planted a lot of celery at the moment. It's still like in the seedling stage, so it's not ready to go into the soil yet, into the ground. But try and think about things, a lot of things you make from scratch, things that you like in the winter. Do you like breads? Do you like hot chocolates? Do you like more potatoes, pastas, etc.? Things like that. Start to think about things like that so you're able to plan ahead of the things that you need. If you're in a cold area that's going to get harsh winters, think about layering your windows so you can conserve on some of the heat. I know in Europe, you know, that looks like it's going to be quite bad for the winter months. So that's what I would try and think of, how you can keep the heat in, even in the USA too. But those things could really be helpful. You could get multiple drapes, and excuse me, think about you know, covering on the doors so that you can keep the heat in. Otherwise, you know, especially if gas is your only heating source. So that would be something. Now I've done this whole bed of carrots. Now I'm just going to cover it so that none of the birds eat the seeds. I'm just going to cover this bed here with all the carrot seeds. Now the next thing I'm going to be planting is Napa cabbage, because I really like this cabbage. We are also, I mentioned in the previous video, we are building the shade house. One of the reasons that we're building this shade house is because the summer, the heat has been so intense, not just where we are, but all across the world. And it's made it, I wouldn't say it's made it difficult, it's just made it harder to grow a lot more food. It just requires so much more water. So we're building the shade house so that, because my mind's already thinking for next year. So when we start the seedlings, normally we start them just before spring. We already have the vegetables, etc., the spring vegetables. We know what we're going to seed. So we started early, but if the weather is anything like it was this year, and then next year it gets even hotter, because that's how it appears that it's trending right now. So I would try and ensure that if you're growing vegetables, you think ahead of how you can grow your summer vegetables, your spring vegetables, if the heat is so intense, because sometimes it burns the leaves, etc. So we're putting a shade house in, so when we do our starts, our little seedlings, it gives them a better chance because they're under cover. It's like this here, you see above me, that's like a shade cloth, but we're building something similar to that, but it'll be outside. I'm in the greenhouse right now, but that will be outside, and you can get them like 30%, 40%, 50%, 70% shade. So it really helps with the intense heat and the sunshine. Here we have a fruit. In the beginning I was a little confused as to what type of fruit it was. First I thought it was a pumpkin, but later on I've discovered what it is. We were given some seeds from a friend of mine, and she actually wrote it in Chinese. So we found out that this is an ash gourd, or a Chinese melon. Now, normally with fruit, you'd be able to tell when it was ripe by looking at the stem. So you can see the stem still here, but it's still green. So one of the ways you can tell when this ash gourd or this Chinese melon is ready is when you rub it, ash should come off on your hands. So watch. You see? So that's ready. So we're going to cut this, we're going to pick it up, slice it open on the table and see what it's like. Can you do it?
I think so.
Good job. Oh, bad idea. No. Hey, so we have the Chinese melon, the ash gourd here. So we're going to cut it open. So here we go. I'm going to try and turn it that way so you can see me cutting it. Can you see that? Oh. It's nearly cut. Okay, we're going to open it. Wow. See there? So let's try some. Because this is really large. Oh dear. Okay, I'm going to cut some here. We're going to see what it tastes like. It tastes a bit like a pear. That's interesting. But notice something. Look how many seeds are in there. Can you see all those seeds? So that's going to be great to save. So there you go. It's very nice. Very interesting taste though, but it is very nice. I will grow it again, but I'm going to try and cut some of this soft flesh here. See what that's like. It tastes a bit between a pear and a cucumber. Yeah, it's nice. So there you go. Hey, I know a lot of people are concerned about what's happening with the food insecurities, the droughts, the floods. We have fires, war, so much turmoil. But always remember that God is in control. Some are living in apartments, cities, communities, small, community areas, and who are waiting to move to rural areas. And that doesn't mean that it's not part of God's will where you are. It may be that some of the things that God is leading you to do, like purchase specific items, store specific things, that God may be asking you to do. So that in the long run, maybe a year from now, a year and a half, who knows, could be 6 months, that you'll be moving into places where people have land, people have farms, and those skills or those specific items that you have, God will be using that to help in another way. So there's lots of different situations that can occur, because it takes just one disaster, with things being at such critical stages within the United States and around the world. One disaster can really tip everything over the edge. So I'd encourage you to stay strong, keep doing what you're doing, learn new skills, even if you think that those skills won't be used where you are. God knows what He's doing, and He's placed that specific skill there for you to learn. So stay strong, be uplifted, know that everything is all part of God's plan, and He always makes our path straight. So be blessed. Have a wonderful evening, wonderful day, afternoon, whatever it is that's for you. And Jesus loves you.